Caitlin Clark was one heck of a basketball player, but what I did not know was that Caitlin Clark, yes folks, is a time traveler herself.
Caitlin Clark has always been more than just a good basketball player. She's been a force of nature on the court. But here's the shocker. Caitlin Clark, yes, you heard that right, has just done something that feels almost unreal, almost like time travel. She has completely shaken up the entire WNBA. After weeks of silence, endless speculation, and mounting pressure from fans and media alike, the news everyone has been waiting for finally dropped. She's coming back. But that raises even bigger questions. Why now? What changed behind the curtain? And more importantly, can her return actually turn around the Indiana Fever's struggling season? Let's break it all down. Caitlin Clark's comeback is officially happening. And make no mistake, this isn't just another headline. This changes everything. For weeks, fans were left in the dark. Injury reports were vague. Practices were locked up tight. And the Fever organization gave nothing away. But then, out of nowhere, the confirmation arrived. In an instant, the WNBA landscape shifted. The league's brightest young star is stepping back on the hardwood. And the ripple effect is already being felt. Teams are rethinking game plans. Sponsors are adjusting their strategies. And even broadcasters know they have to make room for her spotlight. But here's the truth. This isn't simply about one player returning from injury. It's about momentum, playoff stakes, and completely redefining what the Indiana Fever are capable of. Before Clark went down, Indiana's offense lived and breathed through her. Every possession revolved around her shot creation and her ability to set up teammates. Without her, the Fever's rhythm collapsed. They looked like a team searching for an identity, but never quite finding it. Now, with Clark gearing up to return, the energy around this franchise feels brand new. Of course, one huge question still hangs over everything. Is she really ready to come back at full strength? That's what makes this moment so electrifying. Fans are buzzing with hope, rivals are anxious, and the league itself is watching closely. Because everyone knows a healthy Caitlin Clark doesn't just boost Indiana. She reshapes matchups, sells tickets, and shifts playoff dynamics across the board. But let's not forget, this return comes with risk. And that's where things get really interesting. Clark's road back hasn't been smooth. What should have been her breakout rookie season quickly turned into a frustrating battle with her own body. First, it was a lingering groin injury, the one that sidelined her right when Indiana needed her most. That setback alone fueled debates. Was she being protected enough? Could the team have handled her minutes and contact better? Just when it looked like she was nearing a comeback, disaster struck again. A bone bruise in her left ankle during a solo workout in early August. Suddenly, her timeline went from soon to completely unpredictable. Fans, analysts, even opposing players started asking the same tough question. Would Caitlin Clark even return this season? Her rehab wasn't just about healing physically. It was about battling mentally. The pressure on Clark has been unlike anything we've seen in years. She's carrying the expectations of the Fever, the hopes of her fans, and to some extent, the weight of the WNBA's momentum itself. Every single day she spent away from the court only increased the anticipation, but also ramped up the scrutiny. Was Indiana pushing her too fast? Or was she taking too much time? And yet, here we are, against the odds. Clark's resilience has brought her right back into position for a comeback. And by every insider count, she's been looking sharp in practice. So now, the question isn't if she's coming back. It's whether she can still perform at the same electrifying level that made her the most talked about player in basketball today. While Caitlin Clark was sidelined, the Indiana Fever were doing everything they could just to survive. Their guard depth completely collapsed. Ari McDonald, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham all went down with injuries, leaving the team scrambling just to cover minutes. Without Clark's scoring punch and elite playmaking, Indiana's offense stalled, often looking powerless against the league's top contenders. But here's the part that deserves respect. The Fever didn't roll over. Players like Kelsey Mitchell and Alyssa Smith stepped up, grinding out tough wins that no one expected them to pull off. Every possession turned into a battle, and they fought with pure grit and heart. Still, as admirable as that effort was, it wasn't enough to turn them into true playoff contenders. That's why Clark's return means so much more than simply adding a superstar back into the lineup. It's about restoring balance to a roster that's been stretched thin for weeks. Indiana has been climbing upward without her, but now, with their centerpiece preparing to return, they finally have a chance to reset their offensive identity. The reality is clear. The Fever's playoff hopes are hanging by a thread. They don't control their own destiny. At least not yet. But with Clark back in uniform, that narrative could flip quickly. From this point forward, every single possession matters. Every single win could be the difference between sneaking into the postseason or packing it up early. So the real question is simple. Can Clark's return spark the late season turnaround the Fever desperately need? That's the gamble Indiana is making, and it's setting the stage for one of the most dramatic stretches of basketball we've seen this year. And if you want proof that the Fever are already preparing for Clark's comeback, just look at their roster moves. Recently, Indiana signed Kira Lambert to a short 7A contract to patch up their guard rotation. She barely played, just 4 seconds in one game, before being released. The move raised eyebrows, but when you look closer, it makes perfect sense. Lambert wasn't brought in as a long-term fix. She was there to buy the Fever some time until Clark was ready. Cutting her early sends a clear message. Indiana believes Clark's return is near. Meanwhile, veteran guard Odyssey Sims has taken on a bigger role. In a recent game, she logged a massive 42 minutes, proving she can stabilize the backcourt and help ease Clark back into action. Sims isn't just a short-term stopgap. She's insurance. A steady veteran presence who can handle pressure when Clark needs a breather. Every part of this roster shuffle feels deliberate. Indiana isn't panicking. They're planning. They're keeping the lineup flexible, making sure the team is positioned to maximize Clark's impact the very second she steps back on the floor. Which leads to the million-dollar question. When exactly is Caitlin Clark coming back? According to insider reports in the team schedule, the most likely window is between August 22nd and August 26th, with the Seattle Storm matchup already circled as a potential return date. Everything lines up nicely. The Fever have an extended break after their last game, giving Clark extra time to sharpen her conditioning without losing valuable opportunities to compete. Coach Stephanie White has even hinted that Clark has been participating in full contact practices, which is typically the final checkpoint before game action. That's the strongest sign, yet that her comeback is close. But here's the catch. This timeline isn't guaranteed. Recovering from a bone bruise is tricky, and the Fever know that rushing her back too quickly could risk a setback. That's why these next few days are so fascinating. Do they push her return forward to maximize the playoff push, or do they play it safe and wait until she's at 100%? And here's the twist. The Fever don't really have time to waste. Every game counts now. The Fever are running out of chances to claw their way into playoff territory, and that urgency makes Caitlin Clark's return more critical than ever. But here's the risk. One wrong move could not only derail her season, but the team's as well. The target window points to late August, but until Indiana officially confirms it, fans will keep holding their breath. Whenever she steps back onto the court, you can bet it will feel like playoff basketball from the opening tip. For Clark, this comeback goes beyond just playing again. It's about securing her future. She's already proven she's one of the most electrifying scorers in the WNBA. But the stakes couldn't be higher right now. Rush back too soon, and the injury could linger or even reshape her career path. Wait too long, and Indiana's season could slip away before she has a chance to influence it. That's the tightrope she's walking. This isn't just another injury return, it's a legacy moment. Clark isn't simply another young star. She's the face of the franchise, and in many ways, the face of the league. Everything she does is magnified, every move dissected, and this return is no exception. Fans expect her to instantly pick up where she left off, but that's never easy after weeks away. Her rhythm, conditioning, and chemistry with teammates will all be tested immediately. Still, pressure is nothing new for her. We've already seen her thrive in these moments, like the night she dropped 32 with 7 threes against the Liberty in her last big comeback. The question is, can she deliver like that again? This isn't just about saving Indiana's season. It's about proving once more that Clark handles expectations better than anyone else in the game. Her return doesn't just boost the Fever. It shakes up the entire WNBA. Suddenly, playoff matchups look different. Defenses are forced to adjust, and national coverage shifts to wherever Clark is playing. Let's put it into perspective with numbers. Clark leads Indiana in both assists 8.8 and points 16.5 this season. She draws double teams on nearly every possession, opening up looks for teammates and lifting the whole offense. Without her, the Fever barely scrape past 75 points per game. With her, they're a completely different team, but her value stretches beyond the box score. Ticket sales spike wherever she plays, broadcasters adjust schedules to feature Fever games, and sponsors invest more because they know Clark drives engagement like no one else in the league. That's why her return feels less like team news and more like a league-wide event. For opponents, everything changes the second she's back. Coaches have to game plan for her deep shooting, her ability to collapse defenses, and her court vision that creates easy buckets for others. Clark doesn't just rejoin the Fever. She reshapes the competitive balance for everyone else. That's why her comeback is shaping up to be the defining moment of this WNBA season. Indiana's strategy will shift immediately. Coach Stephanie White has already hinted at easing Clark back with minutes restriction, but make no mistake, she'll still be the engine. Expect the Fever to lean on her shooting to open up spacing, especially from deep. Her gravity pulls defenders out beyond the arc, which unlocks driving lanes for Kelsey Mitchell and Alyssa Smith. That balance has been missing without her. Off-ball actions will matter, too. By running Clark through screens, Indiana can create defensive mismatches, and with her quick release, she doesn't need much room to punish mistakes. Defensively, Clark's presence also changes the game. Her ability to push transition forces opponents to play tighter and cut down on sloppy turnovers. The tempo instantly shifts in Indiana's favor. The bigger challenge, though, will be chemistry. This version of the Fever has been reshuffled during her absence, so finding the right flow with Clark back will take time. If they get it right, though, Indiana's offense unlocks a level no other young team can match. Here's the reality. 9 games remain. That's all Indiana has left to flip their season around, and every single one carries weight. They're just outside playoff positioning, but the gap is within reach. With Clark back, the Fever become a tougher matchup overnight for teams like Dallas, Seattle, and beyond. The road is narrow, but with their star returning, the door to the postseason is still open. The clock is ticking, and every single game matters now. The Fever don't have the luxury of time if they want to climb into playoff position, which makes Caitlin Clark's return feel even more urgent. Indiana needs her on the court, but the risk is real. One wrong move, one setback, could derail not only the season but her long-term health. All signs point toward a late August return, but until the Fever officially announce it,